This content is AI generated for informational purposes only and should not be directly used for clinical decision-making.
Hello, and welcome back to the Neurosurgery Hub podcast. I'm Dr. Aris, Senior Attending Neurosurgeon.
And I'm Dr. Alara, Research Fellow. Today, we're looking at a fascinating new study from the journal World Neurosurgery, set for the 2026 volume, titled Long-Term Outcomes of Microvascular Decompression for Trigeminal Neuralgia, the Prognostic Role of Age and Intraoperative Neurovascular Compression Severity.
This is a topic that is bread and butter for us in the OR, Lara, but the long-term aspect is what always catches my eye. We all know that MVD, microvascular decompression, is widely considered the gold standard for primary trigeminal neuralgia, or TN. But the durability of that relief is what patients ask about in the clinic. How long is this going to last, Doc?
Exactly. And this study specifically aimed to evaluate those long-term pain outcomes and safety within a single-center cohort. But what makes this paper stand out is how it explores two very specific variables, the patient's age and the intraoperative neurovascular compression severity, or NVC severity.
It's an important distinction. We often talk about NVC in a binary way. It's either there on the MRI or it isn't. But as anyone who has been under the microscope knows, there's a massive difference between a small vein grazing the nerve and a thick pulsatile superior cerebellar artery causing a deep indentation or even distortion of the trigeminal nerve at the root entry zone.
Right. And the researchers wanted to see if that visual severity we see intraoperatively actually translates into a favorable long-term pain relief.
Let's dive into the age component first. In your review of the paper, Ilara, how did they define the prognostic role of age? Often, there's a hesitation to offer MVD to the elderly due to perceived surgical risks or perhaps a feeling that the neuropathophysiology might be different in an older brain.
The study looked at age as a potential predictor for outcomes. While many surgeons worry about the safety aspect in older populations, this cohort study evaluated whether age itself influenced the long-term success of the decompression. The goal was to see if being older or younger at the time of surgery changed the likelihood of remaining pain-free years down the line.
And that's crucial, because if the outcomes are just as good in the elderly and the safety profile holds up, then age shouldn't be a primary exclusionary factor. Now, let's talk about the intraoperative findings. This is where the severity comes in.
This is the core of the paper. When the surgeons were in there, they categorized the neurovascular compression. We're looking at how severe that compression was. Was there just contact? Was there displacement of the nerve? Or was there actual atrophy of the nerve from the vessel? The study explored whether these intraoperative findings were associated with that favorable long-term pain relief.
It makes intuitive sense, doesn't it? If you find a smoking gun, a heavy arterial loop deeply grooving the nerve, you feel much more confident that the decompression will be successful. Conversely, if you get in there and the compression is minimal or venous, you start to worry about recurrence.
Precisely. The paper emphasizes the prognostic role of these findings. For the residents listening, this means that what you document in your operative note regarding the degree of NVC isn't just a descriptive exercise. It's a data point that might predict the patient's quality of life 5 or 10 years later.
And for the practicing neurosurgeons, it reinforces the need for a thorough exploration of the nerve. You aren't just looking for any vessel, you're assessing the impact of that vessel. Now, Ilara, did the study touch upon the safety outcomes as well?
It did. Along with long-term pain relief, they evaluated the safety of the MVD procedure within this single-center cohort. In neurosurgery, favorable outcome is a double-sided coin. You need the resolution of the trigeminal pain, but you also need to avoid the morbidity of the posterior fossa approach, things like hearing loss, CSF leaks, or facial numbness.
Which is why the single-center nature of the study is interesting. It usually means a more standardized surgical technique and a consistent way of grading that intraoperative NVC severity. It removes some of the inter-observer variability you might get in a multi-center trial.
Exactly. To wrap up the key focus, this study really pushes us to look at MVD outcomes through the lens of those two factors. How old is the patient and how much is that nerve actually being squashed?
It's a great reminder that while MVD is a mechanical solution to a mechanical problem, the biological context, the age, and the physical severity of the compression are the true keys to long-term success. If you can identify those patients with high-severity NVC, your prognostic counseling becomes much more evidence-based.
Definitely. It provides a more nuanced way to talk to our patients about their specific case rather than just giving them general statistics.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. A big thank you to the authors of this study in World Neurosurgery for providing some much-needed long-term clarity on MVD outcomes.
Thanks for listening to the Neurosurgery Hub podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.
Stay sharp.